Hello everybody, Chaweon here, and today is definitely not the usual Witches and Wine video. I have with me witch, occultist, co-founder of a Gardnerian coven, and we will definitely talk about what that means, and professional tarot card reader for the past 10 years. This is my friend Seth. Hi Seth.
Hi Chaweon, thanks for having me.
We're going to be discussing what the cards are going to tell us about this entire drama with James Charles and Tati Westbrook. James Charles, he was at the top of his game. He was the most popular beauty makeup YouTuber. He was invited by YouTube to go to the Met Gala. He had a Morphe palette. He had the thing with CoverGirl. He was like the first male model for CoverGirl. Things were going great and everybody loved him.
You don't get to the success that James Charles has without knowing how to work someone, and I don't want to be worked.
I've been aware of James Charles for a long time, and because I used to be a makeup artist, so I kind of got into makeup tutorials and the whole YouTube makeup thing, like in about 2008, I think it was. I only discovered Tati Westbrook like 2 weeks before all of this happened. And then I happened to see the video that she posted that started everything, the Bye Sister video, and I've been glued to it ever since. So I know a lot of her side of things. I've also seen PewDiePie's video.
Tati made a video called Bye Sister, a clever play on words, because James Charles' slogan is Hi Sisters, and she called it Bye Sister.
I think that his video, even though people were saying it's not researched as well, I actually appreciated that he made that video because I feel he gave a more balanced response and it didn't feel like it was a huge attack on one person or one side. And then I just watched a few of the commentary channels.
Shout out to Peter Monn, who I just found out is also Seth's favorite drama channel. Peter Monn, oh my god. I found him a couple days ago. He did a video recently where he said that he had seen or he had been linked to another video, this tarot reader whose name is Antphrodite. I'm so sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, but I love your cover photo. It's all pink. I think he's actually a psychic, and then he also uses tarot. His readings were, he did it on April 30th, and he predicted that James Charles' tour was going to get all fucked up, that everything was just going to be the scandal was going to happen.
The Antphrodite guy on YouTube, I really admired him, watching him, the video that you sent me. I read slightly differently to him. He kind of just kept throwing more and more cards onto the situation, whereas for me, I shuffle the whole deck individually for each question, and I just pull a few cards, so I keep it kind of sharp and direct, basically.
That's very similar to how Dr. Camellia Elliott teaches tarot. I think she calls it cutting through with a samurai sword, getting extreme clarity, Zen clarity.
For the tarot, I'm being very unoriginal and I'm using the ride-waite Smith because it's, of all the decks that I have, this is still the one that I use the most. Mm-hmm. And then for the oracle cards, I'm using a deck called the Vintage Wisdom Oracle. By Victoria Mosley. It takes a lot of imagery from the 1920s and the Victorian era and anything that's in the past, basically. And it's quite glamorous, the deck as well. So I thought that would be appropriate. And then I'm also using the Earth Magic Oracle deck by Stephen B. Farmer. And this deck is just natural imagery, and so it's very accessible.
Let's say that I'm James Charles, and the question I'm going to pose to you is first, what is my situation like right now? What's the energy like right now? And what are the most likely energies that are upcoming for me? Let's say the next month or two.
So I'm just going to be quiet for a few seconds while I just, do my thing before I shuffle the cards. Okay, so I always ask my clients to give me a number, 1, 2, or 3.
I'm going to say 2.
Okay, so the central card for the overall vibe of the situation right now, what is most important to James Charles at the moment, and we have the Ten of Pentacles, which I feel is saying that the most important thing that's on his mind right now is his entire empire, you know, his home, his money, everything. I see the Ten of Pentacles as being, you know, all about your property and family, reputation. It's everything that means security to you, and as you say, his whole legacy. So this is really important right now, and obviously with it being Pentacles, there's a big emphasis on money as well. So that's very much at the forefront of everything. And it's interesting as well that it shows that as being the most important thing, you know, right now, rather than talking about having a specific hang-up with a particular person. His biggest concern is money and legacy right now. And then for the past, so the recent past, we have the moon. So the moon is all about illusions and knowing that there's a lot going on behind the scenes and you don't know what it is, paranoia, you know, there's a lot of insecurity there, and that's in his recent past. Then we have the card for the present situation, and we have the Magician. And the Magician is hanging over James. So this is somebody else who is in control or trying to manipulate things, because, you know, we think of the Magician as somebody who manipulates the elements, tries to get something together. They're trying to make something happen. I feel that this is mostly talking about, you know, outside factors. So this is probably the people who've been involved, rather than, I mean, it could be referring to James as well at the moment, like having to kind of be the magician himself and figure out how he's going to work his way out of this and what he's going to do to repair what's going on. But I feel like a lot of this is talking more about the other people who are manipulating and pushing things in a direction he doesn't want it to go. And his card for the near future, this seems to be more of what's going on at the moment for him publicly, and we have the Eight of Cups, so it's walking away from something. So I feel that this is about creating distance. So in the near future, he may continue to be fairly quiet, even if he does, you know, even if he does release a more substantial apology video, it still would suggest that he's more likely to perhaps not make as many videos for a while. I also feel that that card is talking about all the people in his social circle that he's lost now, that he's having to turn his back on people. Some of them were supposed to be genuinely good friends of his who have now deserted him. So that's him just kind of getting on with it and saying, okay, and kind of, you know, walking away from them. And then the card hanging over him, which is like, you know, other things to bear in mind, other stuff that's going on. We've got the Devil. So this is just talking about, I think this is talking about all of the, I don't feel that it's talking about one specific person. I think the Devil card here just sums up everything that is ugly about the whole situation. You know, it can be talking about the how money has changed him as a person and how that has turned certain people against him, the fear of losing money. The Devil as well is talking here about any manipulations that have gone on from other people higher up in the chain, and any people who have influenced him. So I feel that the Devil card just sums up everything that's negative about this situation, and it's just highlighting how controlling this is. I think now more than ever, James Charles is aware of how much he is at the mercy of other people and the media and you know, whatever goes on in cancel culture.
Do you think the Devil card could also refer to the boys that he was allegedly sexually harassing?
It could refer to that as well, yeah. I feel like it's because, you know, I said before, I think that part of this can be referring to his own issues with money and how it's made him into a person that other people don't like. So that's a part of his issue. And again, this could be referring to the issue with the boys as well. So it could be referring to his ego. And then the Oracle cards that I've got here, I feel that both of these cards are talking about, these are more like advice cards for him, I think. So we've got Cave and Sanctuary. This is like saying, stay home, don't go out. And then we have Gentleness. So he may try and show more of his softer side. he may put, he may cry some more in his apology videos. He may just, I feel that this card really is just talking about him taking things or trying to take things easy, or at least it's saying that he should try and take things easy with people, be gentle, just present a softer side. It kind of just gives me the impression of staying at home, licking your wounds. He's kind of dealing with a lot at the moment, and also he needs to take care of himself, and he needs to have people around him who can help him on an emotional level.
So one of the things that people are wondering about is, what is James Charles going to talk about in his next video? Because he's going to have to address this issue. And people are thinking, okay, is he going to go and do like a tell-all, like an expose on the industry? Is he going to do like an apology video part 2? Everyone's just waiting with bated breath. And what's going to be the reception once that video comes out?
Okay. Well, I'll draw cards to see what he's going, to ask what he might be exploring and talking about. But I'll have to do like a separate reading for how it will be received by people. Okay, so the central card for the main theme of the video is a tower.
Ooh.
So,
it might be a tell-all, huh?
Looking at the other cards I've got here, I don't feel like he is going to do a tell-all, actually. I think that there will be some comments, whatever he puts out or doesn't put out, people will try and fight over it and find something in there, won't they? I think that this video is going to be very much from his perspective, him talking more about his own suffering and how hard it's been for him. So we've got the tower anyway. I'll kind of explain a bit more when we go through the other cards. So the tower is like the overall vibe of the video. And then we've got kind of like the beginning, the middle, and the end of the video here. So the first card for the beginning of the video is the Queen of Pentacles, which I think is Tati. So it may begin by talking about her, maybe talking about how supportive she was, and kind of talking about her most positive qualities and how much she was helpful with him. Then as we progress into the middle of the video, we have the Five of Pentacles, which is about being left out in the cold and abandoned. So him being abandoned by her. So he may try and try and kind of get some sympathy from his fans, by talking about what he's gone through. And by the way, I'm not suggesting that this is fake. I think that he genuinely has suffered. And then for the end of the video, we have the Five of Wands. And I feel like maybe the Five of Wands will be addressing everything else. So whereas the beginning of the video, it feels like 2/3 of the video is going to be focused more on Tati and his own suffering and response to that. But then the last section of the video is going to be talking more about what other people have been saying. There's going to be some back and forth. This suggests that it's going to be left, I think it's going to be kind of left a bit up in the air. By the end of the video, there's probably going to be a lot more questions coming up than there have been questions answered. This kind of suggests that he's going to throw a few things out there and then it's the end of the video. So there's going to be a lot more questions to come afterwards. And this could suggest that he will directly, he will directly contradict some of the things that have been said, because obviously the Five of Wands is about people having a debate and clashing. So I do think that there may be some things he says that are just outright not true from how he sees things. But it looks messy, and so it does look like the final part of the video could be kind of throwing out quite a few random names out there, and it could be a bit chaotic. The tips and hints card, the advice card, which I think is advice for him that he needs to bear in mind, is the Two of Pentacles, which is, I see as doing a balancing act. It's juggling everything and managing to find your balance and to get through whatever you need to get through without letting things topple, without letting things completely come crashing down. So I feel this card is like advice for him about making this video and what he needs to bear in mind. So he may want to rethink if he wants to mention as many people as he's thinking of mentioning at the end of the video, for example. And then the other cards we've got from the Oracle decks, we've got Love and Compassion. So this is going to be him really reaching out to his true fans and showing his appreciation for them, telling them how much he loves them and how grateful he is. And as well, it ties in with him, having to soften his approach. And I think he does need to be a bit quieter on Twitter and Instagram, and focus more on just being grateful for the fans he does have, and just soften himself, really make himself more approachable and more lovable. And then the final card that we have is Nature from Vintage Wisdom. This card is really all about beauty, and it's also about downtime. This card covers a lot of things, actually. I don't always go along with the traditional meanings for the Oracle decks and the books. Well, this is like the beauty of nature. It can be referring to spending time out in nature. So again, it ties in with this idea of him needing to take some time out from a situation to recharge and recuperate. But I also feel that this ties into what he is about as well, which is beauty. So he may try and create something. He may pay particular attention to the aesthetics of the next video that's coming up. Maybe he will have a different look that he hasn't done before. And also this card may be him discussing how he's maybe going to take some time out for himself. But I definitely think that there's a big emphasis with both of those cards about him really having to soften his approach and his way with his followers on YouTube, just as a way of getting some people back on his side. Even though people say that he has this big ego and everything, I think this whole experience will humble him and make him truly grateful for the fans that he does have.
That's so interesting, because there seems to be a consistent theme with the first spread that he did, just the overall energy and what's coming up. And this about the video that's going to come out, I'm going to guess within the next week or so. And there seems to be this overall energy and message about humble yourself. Be a person, be a normal person. Don't do this entire I'm a celebrity thing that he's been pulling in the past.
I do see a consistent message saying that he needs to kind of lie low now for a bit and take stock of everything he has and be grateful for it. I mean, I think the whole experience is going to teach him that anyway. He probably already does feel grateful for the fans that he does still have, But yeah, focusing on presenting a softer side, rather than the impulsive talking back. I think he needs to pull away from that. If I was James Charles, I think I'd really want to, be in an environment for a while where I'm just, feel like I'm on another planet.
In case you guys haven't noticed, Seth and I both, even though I think we're both very sympathetic to Tati and what she was talking about, we don't hate James Charles. We're not one of those people who are just like, oh my god, he should lose all his subscribers and he should lose all his friends and he needs to be canceled. I'm not on the let's cancel James Charles train. I'm just not.
I don't have very, very strong feelings about either James Charles or Tati. I'm watching everything that I can, but I'm just not into painting one person as the good person and the other person as the bad person, because especially with what has been going on, I'm just a bit more on the fence about it. And also, with the whole situation with Tati and the, what was it called? Sugar Bear. He actually apologised to her already, hadn't he, about that whole thing? Hadn't he sent her a message?
He actually sent her an Insta story saying sorry. And then, of course, in his Tati video, he said that he's sorry. But I think that people don't think it's enough, or they question his motives, and they're just like, well, you're only saying sorry because now you've been caught. You know, like he's only doing it for damage control. They're questioning his sincerity. And it seems like the cards are really advising him, hey, like dig deep into the most gentle, vulnerable side of you and apologize deep, deep from your heart. So what's the reception going to be like to this next video that he's going to do?
See, it's easier to figure out how one person is going to respond to something, but a whole crowd of people, it can be harder. But what I'm going to do is look at what the general theme is and say that that's probably the majority. If you could give me a number 1, 2, or 3, please.
2.
Okay, so it looks, it's kind of a mixed bag, but it's mostly, from these cards, it looks mostly positive. So the central card is the Page of Wands. How I would interpret this, I mean, for me, I always think of the Page of Wands as somebody who is very, very passionate and has a lot to give and a lot to offer and a lot that they want to do, a very driven person, and somebody who is determined to keep that going and determined to master it. So I think that he's going to come across as, I think a lot of people are going to focus on what he has to offer and what he has done. And a sense, it feels like he's going to give everyone the impression, which I think is true, that he is definitely not done yet. You know, he doesn't want his career coming to an end, and he's got so much more that he can give to all of you know, all of his fans who care about him. This could represent like a progression of how people feel from that video. So we've got the Knight of Pentacles, which I see as reliability, somebody being grounded and stable, somebody that is like your rock. So this is like his fans who won't give up on him. This is them kind of taking comfort and security in the fact that he's still there and he's showing everyone that he's still there. Then we have the Ten of Pentacles again, his legacy. So I think that a lot of people will be reflecting on everything that he has accomplished again. And then we have the Nine of Swords, which I would see as, well, I mean, obviously, so the Nine of Swords is about, you know, stressing about a situation. And the way that I often read this card is that it can often show when a situation is worse in our heads than it is in reality. And this could be people basically saying that there's going to be people who are stressed for him, you know, stressed about what his future is. But the fact that I often, with this card, give that message that we can stress about things and make it bigger in our head than it is in reality. This could be showing that there's a lot of people who do care about him who will be maybe fretting too much. This could also as well be his enemies stressing out that he's getting love and attention so soon. And then his tips and hints card is the Three of Wands, which to me is like saying a fresh start. There's a lot ahead of him. To me, it feels like whatever he can, I think that he'll be able to hold on to quite a lot of his legacy, and I think that this is just him going into a new phase where hopefully he will have been taught that he needs to be more mindful of his actions and his behaviour and to have more humility and gratitude for what he has. We have DNA and karma. You know, there'll be people on both sides. Some people will be looking at what's going on now and saying this is his karma. But I feel like it's also, whether you see this as the whole situation is just terrible for James Charles and he's going to learn a lesson from it now, or you can see it as he is now learning lessons from what's happened and he's going to change now and he's going to improve. And the final card that we have is Divine Timing, which is about things being all in good time, which to me is another sign that I really don't think it's the end of James Charles's career. To me, it feels like it's saying, yeah, don't worry, all in good time, things will be, you know, there's going to be a new beginning because of this 3 of Wands that we have. So I feel like his fans will stand by him. I think that he will probably, there'll be a point where he will start to get his subscriptions going up again. And yeah, the overwhelming message from this reading really doesn't look like his next video is going to be taken badly. I think it seems quite balanced in how people will view it. I don't see any cards here suggesting that there's going to be even more hatred towards him.
So the cards aren't super positive. They're not saying it's going to be a miracle and he's going to regain all his subscribers back. But is he cancelled? If you had to answer yes or no to that.
I would say not cancelled from these cards, because there's a lot here about waiting and potential and new beginnings. Like the three of Wands, when I get this a lot for people, it's usually saying it's a very encouraging message, saying you can do what lies ahead. You've got the backup and the support, because we have the rod behind the figure here. So this is saying you have got the support to make a good go or success of the next thing you're going to move into. So this to me is very positive. And then as well, the Page of Wands is, to me, it feels like him convincing people that he's got so much more to give. So it really doesn't feel like a strong no or a strong cancelled. It feels to me much more hopeful and optimistic.
He's thinking about legacy. He's 19 years old and he's thinking about his legacy. So something in him had to grow up from the situation. Like that 10 of Pentacles is not an immature card at all. So I have a feeling that all of a sudden he's going to be like, oh shit, you know, I was so lucky. I had all this going for me. This happened. I need to prove myself again. And you know what? Maybe the cards are also suggesting that he is sincerely humbled now. Like he's not going to be the same. What do you think?
Yeah, I think from these cards it would suggest him becoming more mature. You know, like the divine timing thing could be him realizing that he may even, the fact that we've got divine timing and karma, he might be interpreting this as, right, this is something that's happened to me now and I need to listen now and I need to change for this new phase. So this is the new improved James Charles. And even like the Knight of Pentacles as well, the idea of somebody coming across as reliable and trustworthy, that to me feels like him winning over his audience again and trying to prove that he will be more mature now. I feel like it kind of feels to me like everything that's happening to him is like on a much faster scale than what happened with Jeffree Star. Because Jeffree Star had people hating him for a long time. I saw a video on YouTube the other day that said, the title of the video was like, when are we going to cancel Jeffree Star? You know, and it was trying to bring all of that back. Right. But when you look at what Jeffree Star, the criticisms that Jeffree Star has had, and how he's managed now to have everybody loving him and is like more successful than ever, to me it feels like James Charles is having to learn this lesson much faster because it's 2019 and the internet works differently now, and all of these lessons are much more hard-hitting and much more fast-acting. So, and because as well, he had everything happen to him much younger.
I really like this message. And again, I think some people will be a little bit upset because they're going to be like, we wanted James Charles to be canceled. I would say the both of us were Team Tati, and yet we both also, as long as James Charles matures and he grows up and learns from this, I don't see there's any sort of betrayal of Tati. If you're just like, you know what, I hope he does. I hope that he becomes better. And in fact, I think that probably Tati herself, I would like to think at least, her intention of putting out her Bye Sister video is so that he would grow up. It wasn't to destroy him, it wasn't to cancel him.
Because Tati herself, she said in the video, I remember her saying, you know, she still loves him, she just can't have him in her life at the moment. I don't know, I can't remember if she said that she implied that it was ever again, or if she just kind of said at the moment she can't.
Let's see what the cards say about that later. I'm curious to know how she's gonna fare after this, because you know the pendulum always swings the other way. If it goes too high up here, it's gonna go hard the other way as well. And Tati is like high up here right now, and who knows? public opinion may change. The mob is fickle. And that's going to be our next video.